Well, thank you for having me. When you just told me how many people there are thousands of people. This is such a everything is so transformative, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you think of coronavirus. What do we learn? We learn that that teleeducation works. We learn teleworking. I have found that my employees on radio and TV, they work harder because they don't spend an hour, half hour each direction going home, some even further. And, you know, you could literally see how long they're on their computers and how hard they work. I just happen to have the best people in radio and TV that work with me. And I want to say thank you for having me. Thanks for all of you that came. Hello. This is Hannity Central. This is like Mark Levin's hidden secret bunker.
Well, we're so grateful you came to do this with us. And to all of our viewers, here's what's in store for you. For the next hour, Sean is going to be signing this book and answering as many of your questions as possible. And just to confirm, I want to show you something. We have a certificate of authenticity in here. And what that means is this is Sean's real autograph. This isn't a cheap stamp or anything like that.
You know, somebody actually threw that idea by me. What do you think about an auto pen? Well, we got like 1,000 different variations. I said,
yeah,
every single book I signed. It's funny because over the course of from when I did my first book in 2002, and I haven't done one in 10 years, my signature's changed a million times. Or you'd start signing and it would look one way. By the time you finish 5,000, it looks totally different. That's not his real sign. My fingerprints are on all of these. I touched every page.
Yeah, I imagine the signature gets briefer and briefer each time.
It's not that. It just, I don't even know why. I have no idea. For example, I watched The President. I've seen him. He's got this whole thing down and it's like the same every time. I don't know how people do that. Me, it's every other one's a little off, little different, little unique, but pretty much the same. But I just want to say thank you to everybody for being here. So glad you're with us. We're going to stay through 11, way past 11, so Laura's audience can come. We want everyone to watch Laura. She's a good friend. And I'll fire away on the questions. I'll keep signing as we go when I have a second. And we've almost signed 60,000. Which our mutual friend Dwayne Ward said is a record.
Yeah, wow.
But I work really hard. I've been doing weekends, and just like the audio book, you know, in the beginning they were saying, well, you can do what most authors do, maybe the first chapter or maybe the first and last chapter. And I said, people, especially in radio, TV, they know my voice. I wanted them to hear this from me because in a book, and this is when I started the process of thinking through it and the chapters and where I wanted to go and what this election means for this country. I couldn't possibly in the 20 hours on air a week get out every bit of information in here. One chapter would take, I couldn't even do it in 4 hours because there's a lot to it. So it was like 20 whatever hours to do the audio book. I'm proud of that too. But anyway, thanks to everyone for being with us.
Yeah. Then we want to say that if you've not yet purchased a book and you're watching, you actually still have time to order an actual autographed copy and even submit a question. If you head to HannityBookSigning.com, you can get a copy too, get a gift for a friend. And it even on the back is really nice. It has this very dapper looking gentleman here.
All right. Can I comment on the cover?
You can.
There's 3 previous books. The last one, 2010, right?
Yeah.
I hate looking at first of all, I hate pictures of myself. Publishers was like, no, we want to put you on the cover. I'm like, I don't want to be on the cover. This cover, there's a lot that went into this. For the first time, I decided to pay attention to the cover of the book. And we went through so many different variations of it. But if you see, then this is how much thought. Worn, tattered, split, burning, burnt. 50 states united. And, you know, the upside, the positive side of the book is that we can continue to live free. We're literally the greatest country God gave man. We can continue that. That's the upside. That's the positive outcome. In 91 days, we're going to hear, or 92 if it goes into the next morning, Donald J. Either the words, we can now project Donald J. Trump has been reelected the 45th president of the United States. And the downside is the die part would be taking everything that made America great and throwing it in the trash bin of history. And looking at Joe Biden just the last 2 weeks, police, they've become the enemy, defunding or reallocating is his term. Monies for the police, that's defunding. You can see New York now with $1 billion cut from the police department. It is an unmitigated disaster. It has never been this bad. By August 1st of this year, they surpassed the number of shootings from all of the previous year. We have 5 months to go. That's what defunding gets us. And then I put in the bottom, again, America and the world on the brink, and then it's in Latin, very below, live free or America dies. We owe it to our children and grandchildren that we preserve the blessings of liberty. I worry, Reagan said freedom is but one generation away from extinction. 91 days. I have a 5-alarm fire up here, in here, and my whole soul, a lot at stake, because the reason America has been the country that has literally saved the world from fascism and Nazism and communism and imperial Japan and more recently radical Islamism is because we have the strongest, toughest, meanest military. That's peace through strength. That's Trump. That's not Biden. The other thing is, how has America created all of this wealth, advanced the human condition for our people, but also share it with the entire world? And I believe we really are close. Final trials for a vaccine for coronavirus, for example, we're not going to just keep that for America. We're going to share that with the entire world. So with that said, I'll let you fire away questions. Thanks again to everybody, all of you out there, YouTube, Facebook, I don't know, Twitter Live, whatever people are connecting on, or Hannity.com. Thank you for being with us. Love to answer your questions. You should fire away.
Right.
And I'll be signing when I can.
Let's dive in. Okay. So let's go first to Michael.
Moment.
Yeah, sure. Let's go to Michael from Texas. And he asks, what is the biggest success President Trump has had? And what is the biggest failure or disappointment President Trump has had during his past 4 years in office?
Look, there's so many success stories. What's amazing to me, let me start with Biden and get back to Trump's success and his biggest failure. Joe Biden's been in office 51 years. I point out a lot now that Biden, Pelosi, and Schumer have been there 125 years. Wow. What did they accomplish? We sent Lawrence Jones, our 2020 correspondent. We aired it last night on Hannity, in the streets, to talk to people and ask this simple question. What has Joe Biden accomplished? He's been in Washington 51 years. And the one answer was, well, he became the vice president. I'm like, okay, Barack chose him for that. Okay, you can say he accomplished getting elected. Then other people say, well, he smiles a lot. And he seems nice. Mm-hmm. The real answer, the question, what has he done to make the lives of we the people better? Because I can't think of a single thing. If anybody has or sends you a comment, and I know you're glancing at them as we roll along here, please tell me, because I don't know what it is. I can give you Biden, Obama's economic record. I give it out all the time. 13 million more Americans, food stamps, 8 million more poverty, lowest labor participation rate since the 70s. Now, what is Donald Trump's greatest success? There are a number of them. Let's start with, we're now energy independent for the first time in 75 years. Wow. The lifeblood of the world's economy. We're also the world's now #1 producer of energy. That hasn't happened in over 75 years. I think the greatest thing, by deregulation, he's cut more regulations than any president has ever cut. It has unleashed the fire and fury of free market capitalism, and that accompanied with his tax cuts. What do we get? The manufacturing jobs that Joe and Barack said are never coming back. And lo and behold, record low unemployment for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, women in the workplace, youth unemployment, and African American youth unemployment. That is remarkable because Joe and Barack didn't do that. They had 8 years. I gave you their track record. So that's a huge accomplishment. Energy is a huge accomplishment. Nobody in the second term of Barack Obama, Democrats all supported building a border wall. Okay. But the problem is Donald Trump comes up with the idea, no, we're against it. but he still found a way to literally use monies, and from the Defense Department and elsewhere, by election day, there will be 400 plus miles of new wall on the southern border, where 90% of America's heroin comes in and fentanyl is coming in. Another huge accomplishment, keeping his promise on the judiciary. Another huge accomplishment, I think, by the president. New trade deals with our Western European allies, Mexico, Canada, Japan, even China, that helps American farmers and American manufacturers. I'd also, I think the list is endless, beating the caliphate. He took off the handcuffs that Barack and Joe had put on our military. He beat back the caliphate systematically in Syria, took out the world's #1, terrorist, Soleimani from Iran, had been doing this for decades, and with pinpoint accuracy, took out Baghdadi and associates, took out the #1 Al-Qaeda leader in Yemen. Just remarkable accomplishments. Now, I tried to make this book current. It was going to come out a month ago. We delayed it. The publisher agreed, okay, we got to keep this as current as possible. And okay, who would have ever done, besides Donald Trump, 10 days after the first identified case of corona? At that point, we did not know, on January 21st, that first case, we didn't know this was going to be the biggest pandemic since 1917 and 18 in the Spanish flu. He put in place a travel ban. We can't even begin to calculate how many Americans did not contract the disease by that one decision that Joe said was hysterical xenophobia, and further went on to say is fear-mongering. Okay. Then subsequent travel bans. Then the first quarantine in 50 to 60 years. We hadn't had a quarantine in that long a period of time in this country. And then I would argue the largest medical mobilization. The problem, look, the president there's 99% of the media. The president says enemy of the people. My chapter on the media, I think it's chapter 7, I forget the order. And it's enemy of the people, the media mob. And they are a mob. And you see with the passion that they peddle lies and conspiracy theories and hoaxes and all of the libel, slander, smears, besmirchment, attacks. It's every second of every day. What's going to be interesting in 91 days, we're going to have a winner. Well, unless if it's 2000, we got to wait till late December. But I'm assuming November 3rd or 4th, we'll know who won. And America's got to make, I think, the decision between liberty, freedom, versus what I believe to be the statist, totalitarian, false promises of everything is free, no oil, no gas, no coal. How did that Obamacare thing work out? Anyway, so I think there's so many accomplishments, and when you compare it to Joe, I can't think of one.
Let's go to Conrad from New York. He asked,
hey, Conrad.
Hope you're doing well, Sean. Love your show and your patriotism for our country. How do we get America to cherish our history and the founders and the pioneers of this great, fantastic country instead of trying to dismantle it?
Boy, what a great question, especially in this time where we're, if people want to have a debate on memorials or they don't like statues for particular reasons, okay, this is a country that believes in freedom of speech, peaceful assembly. We can have that debate. A bunch of anarchists going in and deciding on their own that they're going to do it. That's called lawlessness. That's anarchy. That's the violence we've seen in Seattle, Portland, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York City. So it's one of the hardest chapters for me to write. And when I was doing the audiobook, I knew this was going to be a hard, just harder, because it took, that for me was the research, the deeper research, just like the fourth chapter on socialism, a history of failure. And I guess it's not fashionable right now to talk about American greatness and American exceptionalism. I've been quoting in almost every interview my friend Barry Farber, one of the great pioneers of talk radio, saying that, there's never been a country in the history of man that accumulated more power and abused it less than this one. And we've saved the world from evil. We lost 100 million human souls in the last century. The the battles we won against fascism, Nazism that I mentioned, communism, and now radical Islamism. And we did that. America is a great country. What makes America great is its people. The people that get up every day, work hard, play by the rules, pay their taxes. They shovel coffee down their throat in the morning. They race to feed their kids. They pack them a lunch. They get them out the door. They work their 12, 13 hours, 14 hours a day. They come home. They sit for a few minutes for a bite to eat. They study with their kids. They tuck them in, hopefully turn on Hannity before they pass out. They're the people that are great. All the innovation, and I use I add to Barry's great phrase, there's never been a country in the history of man that accumulated more power, abused it less, but used that power because of liberty and freedom to advance the human condition. Listen, there's no perfect people. When, we have the beauty of our framers and founders, to get to the heart of the question, is that in spite of their imperfection, they created a constitutional republic. As Ben Franklin said, a republic if you can keep it. We're now at the point, it's a republic. Can we keep it? That where they built a constitutional system of government, checks and balances, co-equal branches of government, where they allow we the people, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, that we can right wrongs and correct injustices. We can do it at the ballot box. Liberals like to legislate everything from the bench because those are things they would never get done legislatively. Those are things that they would never get elected on. So they've always hoped the judiciary does it. That's judicial activism. But we have proven over our 200 whatever plus year history that we do right wrongs. We do correct injustices. That's what frustrates me about if Joe Biden praising Robert Byrd, like Hillary praised him, like Bill Clinton praised him, like Pelosi praised the former Klansman, and Schumer praised him. Okay, that guy tried to stop the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Voting Rights Act then in 1965. He filibustered it. That's Joe Biden's mentor. Joe Biden's history on segregation, integration. I don't want my kids' integration. He was leading the charge. I quote NBC News all the time, what they said and the way they defined it. And yet this guy said, I don't want my kids going in a racial jungle. Wow. Donald Trump praised the former Klansman that filibustered the Civil Rights Act and talked about integration as, creating a racial jungle for kids in school. I just wonder, what do you think the mob and the media would think and do? Anyway, next question. Go ahead. I'm not signing much, but I have piles over there I'm going to be signing.
Yeah. And this is actually a great follow-up question to that. Who do you, Francis in New York asks, who do you consider to be the most effective American president of your lifetime in protecting the values of our nation?
That's, what's his name from New York?
Francis from New York.
Francis, great question. I would argue, I'm a registered conservative in New York. My first vote was in 1980. I was born in 1961. Voted for Ronald Wilson Reagan. I've been a Reagan conservative my whole life. I would argue there are three waves of conservatism. One was Ronald Reagan. And look, he took what America was a malaise. It's hard for us to even remember or imagine, lines to get gasoline, or Jimmy Carter lectures, you've got to put your temperature down and put on a sweater at home. And Ronald Reagan took double-digit inflation, double-digit unemployment, a disastrous economy of Jimmy Carter. And it became, after 8 years, 22 million new jobs were created. It became the longest period of peacetime economic growth in American history to that point. And on top of that, when he challenged Gorbachev, he walked away from a summit in Reykjavik and then challenged Gorbachev, and his own advisor said, don't say it, it's too controversial, when he went to the wall and the Brandenburg Gate, I believe. And he said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Now, it happened after the wall came down. Want to talk about what socialism fails? Look at East Germany, the wall to keep people in West Germany, nobody was going over the wall of East Germany. And it happened. Peace through strength. They mocked strategic defense. They called it Star Wars. Okay, future wars are now going to be fought by guys in a room looking at Predator drone video and pushing a button like we took out Soleimani. So, you know, we've made so many advancements, both offensive and defensive. So he was great. The next big wave of conservatism in my lifetime was Newt Gingrich and the contract with America. They actually ended up, Bill Clinton had such a horrible first 2 years, one of the worst midterm election loss, just like Obama's midterm election loss. People talk about 2018. Donald Trump's midterm election losses, which are usually historically predictable, was nothing near the losses they suffered. But after the failure of Hillary Care, well, then all of a sudden, Newt Gingrich is elected. That was the first time Republicans took back the House in 40 years. 40 years. I was there in Atlanta with Newt. I was the MC of his event the night he became Speaker of the House. We first met in 1990. He's become a friend. He's family to me. He's a mentor. And they kept these promises. They actually, Bill Clinton was saying the era of big government's over. The end of welfare as we know it. That was a Democrat saying that. What Democrat's going to say that today? That Democrat doesn't exist, or Scoop Jackson, or they don't even have room for Joe Lieberman in the Democratic Party anymore. It's become totally, completely radicalized. And Biden represents all those policies of Bernie, AOC, Bolshevik Bernie. So that was the second whip. They even balanced the budget. They literally balanced the budget because Newt Gingrich fought for conservative principles. I would say we're living in the midst of the third wave of modern day conservatism. Now, when Donald Trump was running, I've known the guy for 25 years. I remember he was very much against the Iraq conflict. I was for it. I don't regret my decision. I think it was after 9/11 the right thing to do. The best intelligence at the time told us that there were weapons of mass destruction. We knew that Saddam had used them against his own people, the Kurds in northern Iraq. And I still believe in the lead up to the war and all the time that we gave them, seeking the world's approval. Again, we would do things differently because military technology has changed today. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that got moved out. And anyway, so, you know, that's the second wave. The contract with America was a success. How do you not be in power for 40 years? Newt made that happen. And we were a better country. Better because of Reagan, better because of Newt Gingrich and Republicans back in power in the House. And now it's a third wave with Donald Trump. And I would have to convince people that Donald Trump was a conservative. Look, I always tell the truth. I tell my audience the truth. I speak from my heart. I've known the man, and knowing this guy, I knew that, you know, and I told this to Glenn Beck today. I said, I understand why people had doubts about would he really be they didn't even think he was a Republican, never mind a conservative. There's a distinction too. And I knew because I knew him. You say, well, why did he donate to Democrats? Why was Hillary Clinton at his wedding? I could tell you why. Because Donald Trump was a builder in liberal New York City. Democrats outnumber Republicans 9-1. And Donald Trump's a businessman. And he wanted to get the buildings up. To get the buildings up, you have to work with these slimy politicians or swamp creatures. He played the game so he could, you know, build his buildings. By the way, while doing so, keeping construction workers working, every one of the trades, they were involved in building the buildings, going to our manufacturers when he could, unless, you know, it was cost prohibitive because of burdensome regulation that he'd have to go to another country. And we talked about it. Yeah, he was at one point of his life, he was pro-choice. He explained in detail long before he ran for president to me what was changing his mind and what changed his mind. Never been a president more pro-freedom of religion. Never been a president that went to address the right to life march in Washington. He did it. There's never been a president more pro-Israel than Donald J. Trump. This is the third wave of conservatism. cutting taxes, ending the bureaucracy, building a border wall, law and order, safety, security. He gave us a list of justices. So, long story short, those are the best. What was the second part of the question from Francis?
He asked, who do you consider to be the most effective American president of your lifetime in protecting the values of our nation?
I would say Reagan got it started and did a phenomenal job. Ronald Reagan took it to a whole new level. Donald Trump, as an outsider, never been in the swamp. He's only been there 3.5 years. Is the guy that was the iconoclastic outsider that went in to shake this whole system up because it needed to be shaken. And he's taken the principles of Reagan and the contract. And he is, people say, well, he's a fighter. Yeah, he fights for trade deals. He convinces our trading partners there's going to be protectionism. He didn't want protectionism. He wanted a better deal. And he got it because they believed that there would be sanctions. And he put them on China, for example. He's a negotiator. He's the never-ending negotiator. If I'm asking for 30 minutes in an interview, so I'll give you 15. How about 25? I'll give you 20, but that's it. I agree to 20, you take him to 30. I win in the end, hopefully. So that's where I think we are. I think this is a whole new level. To stop this progress would be irreparable harm to the country. That's where I worry. And it's not about me. I've had the greatest life I could ever want. I care about everyone that's online with us here. You told me thousands and thousands of people. Okay, I'm honored by that in all these different platforms. And I want to make sure that the blessings of liberty, that we preserve it for our children and for our grandchildren. I don't want to be that generation that Reagan warned about, freedom one generation away from extinction. That we can't allow that to happen. And the people that are here and the people in this country, they will be the ultimate jury. And I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful that they'll be able to do all of that.
Wow, I love your passion that comes through. And just to remind people again, you can get this autographed book at HannityBookSigning.com.
I'm supposed to be signing, but I'm talking. I never shut up. I'm a talk show host.
Well, it's your job.
That's my job, yeah.
All right, so next
questions?
Oh, we have lots of questions.
My phone is blowing up, so I guess people are watching. Let me see. Okay.
You get some texted questions in?
I don't know if I got a texted. My friend Stephen A. Smith from ESPN wrote me. He goes, I'm buying your book tonight. Okay. I see what you're doing to Biden. You're darn good. He's not saying it exactly this way. No, this election isn't about Biden at all. None of us are interested in voting for him. Oh, okay. But, we argue all the time. Okay, next question. Go ahead.
All right. So Dennis from Prairie Village, Kansas. How did we manage to get where we are? What can we do to stop it when the left is never held accountable?
Dennis, I wish I had the answer. The mob and the media has never been this corrupt. They just haven't. When you think of, there were so few of us. I spent well over 3 years on radio and television with a very small but strong and solid ensemble cast. And then I had my radio staff and I had my TV staff. And we dug in because all of our sources together combined, and we called it on peeling the onion, never letting up, to get to the truth about, well, why wasn't Hillary? Why didn't she get charged with the Espionage Act with top secret classified material on our private server? I think all of us would have. If anybody, on this live signing, I promise you, not going to work out well if you're subpoenaed, you delete your emails, you clean your hard drive with bleach bit, and then you bust up your devices with habits. Why didn't she get held accountable? How is it that all of these deep state actors, I call them the 1%, not the 99%, how did they're warned not to use Hillary's, we now know, bought and paid for, dirty, even the New York Times acknowledges, Russian disinformation dossier, and then use it to destroy Carter Page's life, take away his civil liberties and constitutional rights, but spy on a presidential candidate. And they knew when they signed the FISA warrant, it says verified. How could they possibly? You know, if anybody watching right now, if you did that, I promise you, you'd want somebody in your family visiting you in jail with a cake and had a file in it, because that's probably the only way you're getting the hell out of jail. And then, you know, we have all these other people, we call them process crimes. In the case of, say, Roger Stone, process crime, Paul Manafort, process crime, Michael Coney, process crimes. And what they did to poor George Papadopoulos, wow. When they withheld exculpatory evidence. But yet Comey, McCabe, and all these others, they all lied, and they were referred by the Inspector General of the Department of Justice. Why no pre-dawn raids there? So why do they get away with it? I don't know. I will say this, that in spite of the monopoly of the media and this unholy alliance with the media mob, and it's 99%. You have some of us on Fox News, you have a lot of us in talk radio, they pretty much have everything else. They are nothing but state-run conspiracy TV. That's who they are. It defines them. Now, Donald Trump, fake news, CNN, conspiracy TV, like MSDNC, conspiracy theory. Donald Trump, if he loses, never going to leave office. We're going to have to take him out forcefully. Okay, where do you get that from? That's a lie. When you said that there was Trump-Russia collusion, we now know in closed-door testimony, even the Obama officials said they had no evidence. Strzok said it. Sally Yates said it. Clapper said it. Page said it. They all said it. Comey in that January 5th meeting, they all said it. How they get away with it is because the mob protects them. And think about this. If Donald Trump paid for a dirty Russian disinformation dossier in the election, how would that media mob react to that? That's how corrupt they are. You want to know what draining the swamp looks like? That's the swamp. It's the media swamp, the unholy alliance with the Democrat swamp. Here's the double standard. Hillary obstructs justice. Hillary gets away with obstruction of justice. Wow. I don't think anybody that's watching now would ever get away with that. But then when Ukraine comes in, or the Mueller report comes in, Donald Trump obstructed justice. Well, if you care about the principle of obstructing justice, why don't you care about her? If you care about Russian interference in an election, why did they all of them, ignored, bought and paid for, unverified, dirty Russian dossier, Russian disinformation that was then used to spy on a presidential candidate deep into the presidency of Donald Trump? Why don't they care about that? You know, they say that they care about quid pro quos. There was no quid pro quo. We all read the transcript with President Zelensky, Ukraine, nothing there. But to get there, you have to ignore Joe Biden bragging. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion, our money, $1 billion, unless you fire the prosecutor that's investigating my son, Hunter, who said on ABC's Good Morning America, have any experience in oil? Nope. Gas? Nope. Energy? Nope. Have any experience in Ukraine? Nope. Why do you think that you're being paid millions of dollars? I don't know. Hillary said, I don't know. Do you think, the question next one, do you think that maybe because your dad was the vice president in charge of Ukrainian policy, that might have had something to do with it? Yeah, probably. I'm like, oh. But Democrats, they never said a word about it. They've never said a word about this abuse of power. They never said a word about this corruption or the real quid pro quo or the real Russia interference that we proved that was paid for. And the mob protected them. They spread the lies about Trump, the smears about Trump, the conspiracy theories about President Trump, and they protected the deep state. Now, we'll find out with the Durham investigation where this all ends up. But we already know from the Inspector General in particular that this got so bad that this was a coup attempt by 1% of those at the highest level of power within our Department of Justice and our intelligence community. Not the 99% that risk their lives for us. I always like to make that distinction, like the 99% of police that protect, serve their communities and put their lives at risk. So anyway, my phone is blowing up again. This is pretty amazing, actually.
Live questions coming in.
Yeah. More people joining, I hope. By the way, in 9 minutes, we're going to be joined by Laura Ingram's show people too. So,
oh, really?
Keep talking a little bit. I'll keep answering questions for a while longer if you want.
Coming into the room with you?
No. She's not.
No. I was like, that sounds awesome.
Right, now you're spreading a conspiracy theory. we're all sheltering in place. So.
Well, I feel like we're just scratching the surface of these questions, but I wanted to save some time, if you'll let us ask you some personal questions. I've got 22 of them.
You know, Linda warned me this was coming, my radio producer. Sean, we're going to ask you New York questions about yourself. Do you mind questions you've never answered before? I said, okay. That's like Andrew Cuomo saying, you know, in March about the pandemic, you know, when he didn't buy the 15,783 ventilators that his own health department task force recommended that he would need when the pandemic came, not if it came. And then he said, I need 40. We are New Yorkers. We're not like the rest of these countries, and we are prepared, and we have the best medical system on earth. Donald Trump bailed his, I can say it on the internet, can't I?
You can say anything you want.
I don't know if there's young people. Bailed his backside out and saved New York. But go ahead. I'll be kind. I know what I was going to say. And everyone else does too.
Well, these are going to be fun. Hopefully.
All right. Short questions or long questions? I mean, short answers or
yeah, we're gonna go for 22 questions in 2 minutes. You may break the 2 minute mark, but we're going for short answers here.
Okay, you got it.
You ready?
Oh boy, here we go.
Where were you born?
Metropolitan Hospital, New York City. Grew up in Long Island, New York. But I lived in Rhode Island 5 years, California 5, Alabama 2, Atlanta, Georgia 4. And then made it back to New York. I came back to New York when I got hired by the Fox News Channel. That was October 1996.
Who would you want to play you in a movie?
Oh, good grief.
Besides me.
I have I never thought, I have no idea. Maybe I'll play myself. Maybe they'll give me one of those, you know, expensive contracts that all these spoiled, rotten, hypocrite Hollywood elitists get. You know, they want us to ride our bicycles to work, but they're flying around from Australia to Vegas so they can celebrate New Year's twice, like Leonardo DiCaprio did, and all of them that want to defund the police that have their own private security. I don't know. I'll tell you my favorite actors. I'll answer it a different way. I'll answer my own question.
Please.
Love Mel Gibson. I like Russell Crowe a lot. Gladiator. Wow. He's been great in a lot of movies. Denzel Washington, I love. Morgan Freeman, I love. Those are like four of my favorites. There's so many great people out there. Now, could any of them ever want to play me? I tend to doubt it, but they're my four favorites. You know, my favorite movies. You know, Gladiator, Braveheart. It's weird. I can quote Gladiator. You want me to do Gladiator?
Please.
Maximus, do you not accept this great honor? With all my heart, no, sire. That's what Russell Crowe says. He goes, Maximus, that is why it must be you. What about Commodus, your son? You have known since your youth he is not a moral man. He cannot rule, he must not rule. I will deal with Commodus. Have you watched the movie?
Have I watched the movie? It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and you are killing it, sir.
Okay. So
easily.
Then I could do Mel Gibson and Braveheart. Freedom. Just a couple. Who else? I can do The Godfather a little bit. I said, everybody here, I will not break this peace we have made together tonight. But when my son Michael comes home, if anything should befall him, an accident, I will hold everybody at this table responsible. Not great.
Oh, you could totally play yourself. If you can nail those guys,
All
that's
right, I'll do. Let me see.
A-list
What else
actor.
can I do? I can do. Well, anybody can do Bill Clinton. I want to say to all the hot chicks out in there in the internet land that, you know, if you want to come on over, I'll sign my book in person. I'll give you a tour of the studio. You know, who else do I do? I can do it with my buddy, one of my best friends, the great one. We call him Mark Levin. Let me see. I'll say it. Nobody else will say it. There, I said it. I do a little bit of Rush. Rush is hard. Sean Hannity's on Fox News Channel.
Yeah.
Not
yeah,
bad, a little bit. I'm not great at it, but I try. Anyway.
Can you do Trey
my
Gowdy?
day job, right? What?
Can you do Trey Gowdy?
No, I can't. I never tried. I never. It's weird. You know how I learned to do little impersonations? I know they're awful, but for me, it makes me laugh. Is that I actually have to see somebody impersonating the person.
Yeah,
that's how I learned. It's a weird thing, right?
Absolutely. No, I get it. Yeah.
Right. These are questions I've never answered before, by the way. Keep going. Go ahead.
All right. What was your first job?
Paperboy, 8 years old. I had to have it in my sister's name because you had to be 12. And then what was fascinating is that if you got subscriptions, you know, my first one was Newsday. Then I once delivered the Long Island Press, you know, gone for a while, like all the newspapers are going that way. At another point, I delivered the Daily News in the morning. The only thing it gave me is I have to read hard papers every day. I still get the hard copies, New York Post, Wall Street Journal, even the liberal Daily News. I do not take the New York Times. I did for a long time. I said, I can't even take it anymore. You know, what was her name? Barry Weiss came out with that devastating resignation letter. And then my first like job besides the paperboy, what I liked is if I'd sell subscriptions, I'd be able to get tickets to a New York Mets game. And I'd go out and I'd sell subscriptions. I wanted to sell. I wanted to get the tickets or get a baseball glove or a bicycle, whatever I wanted. I'd go crazy trying to sell subscriptions. I wasn't the best paperboy when you can flip. It landed in the bushes. I usually just keep going. Not a good idea. I wasn't good at it. Or collecting. I'd say, you owe 4.5 weeks, 5 weeks. They'd be like, why don't you come once a week? And I said, oh, that's too much work. But when I started a real job, I was washing dishes. I was 12 years old. I worked, the place was called Norwood Inn. It was in West Hempstead, Long Island. It was actually a really busy restaurant. They didn't have a dishwashing machine. My friend Eric Baltings was a busboy. He was in the front of that. I was in the back. And they had no machine. I had to wash every pot and pan and dish and silver all by hand.
Yes.
When I'd go in on Friday, I usually go in right after school. All of the pots and pans that have been sitting there, you know, all week. I just look at this. Oh, it was a mess. But I did it every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for years. Then, and then I would get a little different time. The owners were nice people, and the manager. And you know, at the end of the night, sit at the bar. I'd usually have one or two. I had St. Pauli girls, you know, beer. So I'd have 2 beers, fly home as a 12-year-old on my bicycle. It was just a different time. Most of us now are like helicopter parents. We don't let our kids out of our sight. And then the chef quit. I think I was nearly 14, but I was 13 at the time. It was Thanksgiving, and an old man chef, I think his name was Hans, he quit that night. And the owner threw his apron, you know, on me and said, okay, you're in. You listen to what I tell you to do. And then I was now cooking. So by the time after we had the nightly rush, they'd move to the nighttime menu. It included stuffed lobsters. I'd take live lobsters. I'd cut them. I'd take out the sack. I'd put in the crab meat and the stuffing, and I'd put them in the broiler. I do baked clams. I do steaks. I do burgers. I did fries. I love that because I was moving like a madman. I was sweating like a, you know, there's no tomorrow. I just loved it because I have such, you know, frankly, attention ADHD that I need something to move to stay focused. It's the way I'm built, the way I'm wired. I've lived with a sense of urgency like the moment I was born. And, you know, it was different. My parents didn't know where I was. And, you know, but it was different. I'd get off my bicycle after I got off the school bus. I was gone. They didn't ask where I was. They knew I was with my incorrigible friends because I was incorrigible. And they'd hope I wasn't getting in too much trouble that day.
Do you think it was safer back then?
I think it was. Yeah, I do. Sadly, I do believe that. I did not. My kids weren't going to do that. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And they'll be the first to say, "Yeah, Dad was tough." I always say to them, "You know what? I don't apologize for being your father. I'm not your best friend. Maybe one day we'll be best friends, but right now, no. Until you prove to me you have total control, discipline, maturity, no way." So, and then I was a busboy, then a waiter. 17, I became a bartender. I love that because it was such a busy place. It was in Floral Park at the time, the Merry Peddler. And I mean, we were moving. We had service bar. We had really long bar. Some nights, I mean, it became a restaurant. The Newsday food critic said a restaurant I'd like to own. It was packed. And you had 1, 2, 3 dining rooms. And so you had all these waiters and waitresses. Sometimes there were 3 of us on a Friday, Saturday night, sometimes just 2. And we were known for our pina coladas, our strawberry daiquiris, our melon daiquiris, our banana daiquiris. But it's not like they have the machines today and frozen margaritas. Every one you make by hand. Yeah. You have to come in hours early, chop 1 million strawberries, get them ready for the night. This is terrible. On nights, we just couldn't do it anymore. We'd like make the worst one so they never asked for another one. I didn't do that often. I actually took great pride in making the best the frozen drinks you can. And it's a great experience. I go home with a lot of money. Then I worked at another place, Salisbury on the Green. I would do a wedding. They had like 5 weddings going on at a time on a Saturday and Sunday. So I do 1 on Friday night, 2 on Saturday, an afternoon, then a nighttime wedding, and then 2 on Sunday. And it was great. I loved it. And by the way, we have a tie over there. Every single wedding, there was always an Uncle Joe or an Uncle Tom or an Uncle whatever, Uncle John. And you always knew, you know, he'd come in early, you know, he'd give you, here's $10, kid, keep them coming, keep them coming. And by the end of the night, you know, shirt was half open. He'd have a tie like this around his neck and he'd be dancing to, you know, celebrate good times. It was I learned a lot about drinking and life and people, and it was fun. I learned a lot. All right, that was a long answer.
Hey, that's okay. I want to hit a lot more of these questions, but do want to let the people know that are just tuning in that this book, and it's a beautiful autograph book. It's available at HannityBookSigning.com.
A real autograph.
A real autograph. That's right.
I signed every one of them. I can testify to.
And we will give you a certificate of authenticity to prove that this is not a stamp. It's actually his autograph.
No. I signed them all. They all have my fingerprints on it. I'll tell you that.
You got the cramps to prove it, right?
You know, this is going to sound weird. So what they do is before printing, I could show you in this one. So this page, what they would have, let me show you, is you just have a blank sheet. You know what, James, if you go down, there's a box in my room. I'll actually show you what it is. And they're called tip-ins. So when they actually produce the book and manufacture the book and do the book run, it is literally put in as a part of the book. So it's the advantage, I found it relaxing. No. They're in my room downstairs. There's like a whole box of them. I'll show people just that small box.
You mean almost like painting, like where you just kind of mindlessly can roll the paint on the wall? And
anytime I'd sit and have free time. There were days I'd do hours and hours and hours of it because I knew this was going to be a very different tour. I'll be honest to everybody that's watching. There's still people watching, or did they leave yet?
Oh, they are here, my friend.
Okay.
They want to hear about these personal questions that are coming.
Yeah, I know there's more coming. I don't know what it is, but I found it. I would sit in bed when I'm watching a movie, sign.
Oh, yeah.
Sign. And I found it relaxing because it was mindless, and it's somehow like calmed me down. Which, you know, I'm an insomniac, but thanks to, of course, Mike Lindell and My Pillow, that's helped me a lot. But he's going to bring him up. As soon as he gets him up, I'll pull him out and show you.
Yeah, cool. Want to keep moving on these questions?
Sure.
What is your biggest fear?
I made a decision in my life not to live in fear. We can make a choice. You know, the mind is like a vacuum, right? And it's constantly wants to drag you. You got it? You should bring up the whole box. I want to show them the whole thing. This is just a small sampling. I just finished the box today. That's why I'm asking to bring it up. See, all of these, that's me. And it actually is put in the book, and it's part of the book. It's part of the printing process. That's for the second run of books. Apparently, we need a second run already. And so I don't feel, I made a decision. Every time I want to worry, I look at it, you know, and this is where my faith has grown a little bit. I was raised Catholic. I'm more of a non-denominational Christian. I believe more than I've ever believed in my life. I'm one of those smelly Walmart shopping Trump supporters, irredeemable deplorables that cling to God above, that cling to our Constitution and Second Amendment rights, our Bible and religion. I'm one of those guys. Guilty
of those people.
Which shows you, by the way, that the left, they have such contempt. All right, so this is a book. Yeah, bring it over here. All right, so just to give you, all right, so this is, you know, just what I did today.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, here's this pile. Those are all signed. These are all signed, and they would get inserted in the book because I kind of thought I might be talking too much and not signing so much. And then I have a whole piles and piles of books that we're going to be done. And by the way, there's still plenty more in here. But to be very honest, I won't give the total amount, but I was told I've shattered a record for signed books.
Nice.
Nobody's ever, but it's a different time. We used to go on the road. I mean, when I did my first book, we must have done 40, 50 cities. My second book, we did 65 cities in the course of a year. I loved it. I got to meet the people that make America great, and so loving, so supportive, so amazing. And I have such a deep love and respect for the people in this country. And, you know, now my kids are a little older, and my son's a senior in college. My daughter's going to college. And so I was able to finally have time where I could do it again. And I felt the need to, you know, I swore I'd never write another book, but I just felt, I actually felt this on a mission. I have to lay out this case. So anyway, go ahead. What's the next one?
All right, next question. Who makes you laugh the most?
That's a great question. No, I think's the greatest, funniest comedian right now.
Who?
And I'm an old time. I love Larry the Cable Guy. I love Jeff Foxworthy. Dennis Miller cracks me up. You know what I think is the funniest? And I love that he will say anything and is funny, genuinely, you know, rip-roaring, you know, you crying.
Proper funny, yeah.
Chris Rock.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Love him.
Yes.
You know, he does his show, and when he's done, he slams that microphone down on the ground, says anything he wants. You know, it's funny because I actually was in a room with him once. John McEnroe, who has the John McEnroe Tennis Academy, was doing this charity to bring more minorities into the sport of tennis. I've actually supported a lot over the years. There was another project similar that went on in, I think it was in Harlem. And I'd like to donate to that too, because I love kids and I want to see kids have an opportunity and also stay out of trouble and play sports. Sports keeps your kids out of trouble. They learn to win, they learn to lose, they learn all life's lessons. The harder you work, the better you do. Anyway, so I go to this auction and John McEnroe's up there. He's auctioning off that you can play doubles with him and Djokovic. You know, like you would play, one person would play. So anyway, Chris Rock is in there. And I knew the cause. I knew I was going to donate money. And I said, I'll donate under one condition. I'll donate $25,000, I said. And I was going to do it anyway. And I did donate it. And one condition, John, he goes, is that Hannity? Oh, go like this. He was very quick and funny. I said, guys, I saw Chris Rock. I'll tell you what. I'll play with Djokovic and you can play with Chris Rock. And we'll do it for charity. He goes, right away, didn't miss a beat. Hannity, I'll pay 25 grand not to play that match. So, and he mentioned it. It's like, serious. So I did say hello. It was interesting. I thought he was very shy in person. which I found interesting and quiet. But man, wow, just there's a brilliance, a genius, a timing to all of these comedians.
Yeah.
So I like comedians a lot.
You can't do a Chris Rock impression, can you?
No, I could throw down the microphone like he does at the end of his show. Yeah.
What is the one thing you need to have in your fridge at all times?
Oh man, I try to keep my fridge as empty as possible. I'm really into fitness now in my life, and I'm at a point in my life where I eat better than I ever have. And so I keep all carbs out of this house. There's nothing. I mean, my family hates me. I'm like, if you want carbs, you must hide them. And if I find them, I'm throwing them out. And when I throw something out, you know, I don't just throw it in the garbage pan where you wake up unconscious and then I threw out the Oreos. Let me pull a couple out. No, I go to the garage and throw them in the smelliest garbage can I can find. So I won't retrieve it like a psychopath. I don't know if many of you have done that. I have done that. And what you usually see are meats. I eat more fish than I've ever eaten. I eat vegetables, but I train 4 or 5 days a week for 7 years now. I've been a student of the martial arts, and it's hard. It's real fighting. I do at least 100, 125 push-ups a day, sit-ups a day.
Oh.
4, and we do, it's an eclectic blend of arts, Krav Maga, Kempo, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu.
Wow.
We do boxing. We do situational self-defense. We work with sticks, you know, for defensive purposes, offensive purposes if you're attacked, blades, defense, firearms, safety. Somebody puts a firearm at my forehead. What am I going to do?
Wow.
Okay, I'll distract him with my words, immediately push it up, get out of the line of fire, snap it back, break his finger, jam it into them, strip it, step back, tap, rack, 4/3. I do it with, you know, I do it every day. We train that every day.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot. I like it because of the mental toughness aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's made me stronger as a human being because of it. I've gotten as fit as I've ever been. And along with that, I decided a while ago, maybe some people noticed, I think I lost like 22, 24 pounds, something like that. Yeah. And I've been able to keep it off.
And for those of you just tuning in, again, the autograph book is at Hannity Book
By the way,
Signing.
Laura Ingram's show is over 13 minutes now. Hi, Laura Ingram, people. Hope you enjoyed Laura's show.
Welcome.
I said, no, watch Laura. I said, I'm going to stay on for a while after that.
Yeah, it's HannityBookSigning.com, and you can get his autographed copy, Live Free
People
or
still
Die.
here, or did they leave yet? Are they getting bored by these personal questions?
No, I think it's just getting spicy.
Oh, God. Great.
Who's the most interesting person you met recently?
Oh, boy. I meet interesting people every day. Really good, most interesting person I met recently. Tell you what, I recently had an experience. I got up early one morning and I just wasn't sleeping. This is really early, like sunrise time. And I decided to, you know, just go out and, you know, New York, they have New York delicatessens, right? So,
Oh, yeah.
what you do is you scoop out a bagel so there's like no carbs. Every once in a while, I'll treat myself and just get bacon and egg on top. Okay. I went out and got that. Then I'm driving back and I see like 2 cop cars parked next to each other near my house. So I just said, guys, I just want to say thanks for all you do. They recognized me. We started talking. I invited him to my house and we hung out for a good while. It just so happened that I had gotten some signed Make America Great Again hats. They're big Donald Trump fans. I was able to give it to them and they give them a couple other things. And then I've interviewed presidents, I've interviewed prime ministers, I've interviewed the Prime Minister of Israel, the Prime Minister of Pakistan. I've interviewed General el-Sisi of Egypt. And it's a great honor to be able to do that. Presidents, secretaries of states, vice presidents. But I just, my mom was a prison guard. Worked 16-hour shifts every day. My dad, family court probation, waiter on the weekends. So that, and as I said, I gave you all my jobs. So, you know, they're the heroes to me. How did we ever get to the point where a contender of a major political party in America calls the police the enemy?
Mm.
How did we get to that point? How did we ever get to the point where, you know, they're saying defund the police? What? Now, I would argue police need more training and they need more non-lethal options. I've tried to say, you know, take your hand like this and just push it back. Ow. If somebody's in handcuffs and I take 2 fingers and I manipulate them, I don't have to break them. I promise you, somebody in handcuffs, you will have 100% guaranteed full compliance. We don't train our officers enough. You know, I mentioned this gun burner once. Wow, when it went through the roof. I own them. I'm a customer. I paid full price. And I just got to know the company. And from 40 feet away, and it comes in pink, orange, or a regular black handgun. It looks like a regular handgun. And I've been shooting since I'm 10. I've been a marksman since I'm 10, 11 years old because of my mom and my dad's jobs. And they had a pistol on their side table next to their bed. And if you put a laser on the burner, because I don't see like I used to, like unless I do this, you're fuzzy to me. You look
really?
better with my glasses on. You look better with my glasses on. And so I can hit somebody from 40 feet away. It shoots projectiles that has 2 different pepper sprays and tear gas.
Mm-hmm.
And so it hits and explodes. You see the videos. There are better options than that stupid laser gun that they have with the wires flying out. I think it's the worst option. We need to give cops a non-lethal option. So if somebody's further away, they can neutralize the situation. They're not killing anybody. It's uncomfortable. They flush their eyes out. You know, Geraldo's told me he's been in you know, on the streets when tear gas has been fired many times in his career. So, all right, what time is it now? It's 11:17. I'll give you 10 more minutes.
All right, let's fly. What is your middle name?
I don't have one. I have a confirmation name, but I've never had a middle name.
Hey, that's how they do it in Mexico.
Just never had one.
Yeah, okay.
Nobody believes me. They think I'm lying. I'm like, I don't have one.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
Tough. Everything leftist, liberal, statist, totalitarianist. I just want liberty and freedom. It's really simple. The optimistic part of live free is we live free. We look at the wealth creation in this country, the innovation in this country because of free market capitalism, people in putting risk and reward to create goods and services others want, need, and desire. And we can't force people to buy our products, but people want them, so they buy them, or our services, they want them, so they pay for them. And that freedom has brought the best out of humankind, you know, which I believe natural rights were endowed by our creator. Joe didn't quite get this right. All these truths to be self-evident, all men and women are, he said, are created equal, endowed by the thing. You know the thing, Joe, the thing, God, the creator of everything. So I believe we have natural rights. My education in Catholic high school is 12 years. I had to study Latin in high school. Ducere from the Latin, bring forth from within, means those natural rights. It means God put it there. You give kids a safe environment so they can live safely in their community or city, and a good education and water and sunlight and love, and you're going to get the gifts that God gave that person. Every American, I believe, every person on this earth created by God. Now we have a propensity for good and evil, but that's separate and apart. What is your guilty pleasure? Let me think. I gotta tell you, I've like turned into a military maniac in terms of working out, food. Occasionally, I can't help certain food cravings. It's not often that I'll give into it.
Yeah. Go on.
I love quarter pounder with cheese, fries, and a Coke.
Don't even. Oh, just to hear it.
There's a white in the South. It's called Crystal Burgers. I love White Castle. They call them belly busters. You know, little tiny burgers. They make it has holes in them. There's not bread. It has pickles and tons of onions, and their French fries. I love pizza. Although I found the antidote for that. There's a place near me that they're called Mario's Pizzeria, and they make a cauliflower crust pizza.
Yeah.
I call it, for me, pizza for a fat guy. You know, because there's no carbs in that. A little bit of sauce, okay, maybe some carbs there, but you know, cheese is fine. And it tastes just, if you get it with double cheese, you have to get double cheese. It tastes the best in the world. I love Kentucky Fried Chicken original recipe. Love it.
Yeah.
I love Wendy's single cheese, extra pickles, onions, and ketchup. Their French fries, you know, it's a toss up with McDonald's, White Castle, and Wendy's for me with fries. I love
This is
fries.
getting guiltier and guiltier.
Yeah, I'm getting guilty of sin. I told you I was incorrigible since I'm young.
By the way, I'm going to add to my social media bio, asked Sean Hannity what his guilty pleasure was.
Ugh.
All right. Do you have any hidden talents?
Hidden talents.
You can perform them now if you like.
What's that?
And you can perform them now if you like.
You know, I can hit and punch and elbow and headbutt. I can do that. Guilty pleasure. Hidden talents. Wow, you really. Linda is dead tomorrow when we're on. I'm bringing this on the airways. She put me through this.
I mean, you can disarm a man who has a gun at your head.
Yeah, well, that's certainly. I don't think people would really understand the level of training that I'm at. I am a brown belt. I'm in my 8th year, 7 full years, and it's going to take me a minimum 4 years to ever consider the curriculum that I'll need to be a black belt. That's how strenuous it is.
All right, we're getting close.
I was always a good athlete. My son used to hate playing basketball with me because if I get hot, swish. So I was a hockey player. I played every football, basketball. I played it all. So I have always been a pretty good athlete. My kids are great athletes. And what are many other hidden talents? What? No, you can think of. Is that what you're saying?
You're interpreting your impressions. I was like,
oh, you like my impression? He likes my impression. Which one do you like the best? I want to say to all the hot chicks there in the internet land in our last sign of video.
There's the hidden talent.
Just write down your number. I'll give you my address. I'll give you a call right after the live signing.
All right, we're going to speed to the last one because we are dangerously close to running out of time. Where do you want to go that you've never been?
Easy answer for me. Australia, New Zealand.
Nice.
That's where I want to go.
Nice.
Here's something amazing. So when I started out my adult life, I was working my way in and out of college, paying for it all myself. I took out one student loan, paid it off. There was no loan forgiveness, $58.05 to Jamaica Savings Bank for 10 years of my life at a point. But I got to a point, when I started my adult life, after I paid for college and ran out of money, and my parents wanted to help me. I knew they didn't have the money. I was like, no, I'm doing it on my own, stubborn kid that I was. And I went in, I ran out of money, I go to work. I went in again, ran out of money, I go back to work. I did it 3 times. I didn't finish. Liberal media, listen, Hannity's a college dropout. I'm like, yeah, if you saw the volumes of material, basically a textbook or 2 a day that I read, I feel like I've gotten a pretty good education. But what was the question? I'm getting tired now. Our 400th interview.
Where do you want to go?
Oh, so I want to go there. So my staff, they go to all these incredible places on vacation. Europe. Sean, have you been to Paris? No. Where have you vacationed abroad? My answer is Helsinki. I was in the middle of a anti-Trump rally in Great Britain.
Wow.
I went to Vietnam. I went to Singapore. I've been to Canada, Mexico. Where else have I been? Trying to think. Oh, Israel. I've been twice, but those were work related also. And when I had no money, I had time. Now that I have money, I have 0 time. I don't even consider taking that time away. And also, my kids, because they were both athletes, it was every weekend with my kids, every weekend. And I tried to attend everything I could.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time, unfortunately, we have tonight.
I talked. Now I'm going to have to sign for the next 3 hours. By the way, for everyone that tuned in and your love, your support, I did not do this book to be able to say as we started that, I'm number one. I've had number one bestsellers, 3 of them. It's number one on Amazon. Was number one all day. I don't know what it is. I haven't looked. I'm not one of these people that looks every 5 seconds. Thank you for making that happen. That's not why I did this. I want to make sure everybody has a full, complete, in-depth, comprehensive understanding what made this country great. The rise of radicalism in this country. Bernie was considered a nutcase by his own. He wasn't even a Democrat. He was a socialist. Now he's mainstream. Now Joe Biden's adopted his economic plan. The insanity and promises of the 2020 agenda. And then I follow all of that up with socialism, a history of failure. Because all that they're promising you, like Obamacare, like Social Security, Medicare is going broke. They can't even keep law and order in these liberal cities. And certainly the educational system in these cities is god awful. We betrayed our children. So these promises, they're never going to be fulfilled. Almost the exact promises are in every failed socialist experiment. And I go through a deep history of this. I talk about what the Democrats have done, the damage they've done with the Russia hoax, the impeachment hoax. I go through the mob and the media. They're repulsive at this point. State-run propaganda, conspiracy TV, pretty much 99%. That's why I call them the mob. We get into the president, his accomplishments, what's at stake, all the things that he said he would do, that he did, that nobody will ever report on, up to updated final chapter on the coronavirus that the mob also purposefully politicizes and everything else. So, 91 days, there's a lot on the line. I'm praying for our country. I pray for you and your families. I thank you all for being with us. Thanks for being such a gracious host, by the way. And
thank you.
Hannity.com. Thank you. We have a list of all these other great events we have coming up as well. And I hope you can participate in them.
Well, I love your passion, Sean. And to order his limited edition autographed book, go to HannityBooksigning.com.
Really autographed by me.
Actually autographed, yes. Yeah. Not stamped. And to be a part of the live signing experience with more of your favorite authors, follow Premier Collectibles on Instagram or Facebook. Sean, from all of your fans and from all of us here at Premier Collectibles, thank you so much for being here.
Wherever you are, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Hannity.com. Thank you all. And back at it tomorrow. We have a busy day tomorrow. Thank you.
Good night, Sean.
Live free. Save this country. Thanks, guys.
Hi.
I am sitting here with the one and only Jackie Chan, global superstar, and he is signing all of these books. Are your hands tired?
No, tired, but I'm happy.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
really,
so
really
happy to hear that.
How do you feel?
Good. I'm excited. This is the first time I've done something like this before, a live signing.
Where do I want to go that I've never been? We're thinking about, not thinking, we're putting it in motion. I'm going to go to Indonesia on my irresponsible tour this year. I'm excited about that. I've never been. And there's been a heavy demand for me there. So we're going to go. We're going to go to Indonesia and I'm going to make people laugh in Indonesia. That's how I roll. How do you roll? I can't make this up. Wayne, you got your Indonesia pants? I decided it about a good 3 weeks ago. You'll see it on the schedule soon, so I suggest you go get your pants for Indonesia, because you're not going to wear them stupid pants. Where do you think Indonesia is? India. Yes, we out.
You can see that I'm signing it. This is not some machine scribbling my name. This is my actual human body scribbling my name. So, all right, there we go. First book, signed.
We have fans from all over who have written questions that they want to ask you.
Oh dear.
And they're also going to get signed copies of the book. We're so excited.
Yeah.
So you ready to jump into some questions?
Yes.
Hey, we're live at the live signing.
To my mind, the successful feeling at the end of a book is not that you have done everything you could with the book, but that you scratched the surface.
Mm-hmm. So it was a wonderful experience and a wonderful discipline in storytelling.
I'm gonna start signing right now. I guess I'll sign in red. You know, red. I'm a Delta. Red.
Can you guys see that? See, there's a little smudge right there. So if you see a little smudge, that means Charles jumped on the book as I was signing it.
I don't mind doing signings because people really love a signed copy of a book. I know I do. I will sometimes sign a book to myself.
You were only 7 weeks old, and ABC really wanted to get the new host in that seat and get things going. And I said, but I'm breastfeeding. And by the way, that was at a point like in 1979, coming up on 1980, you really weren't even allowed to say breastfeeding on the air.
I feel like this is something we kind of all need right now.
My life changed after my leg was broken in 1985. My world changed. I had the world by the tail. I had every material thing you could possibly hope for going for you in your life. And then all of a sudden, bang, in one instance, it was gone.
The only thing that matters is the love you give and the love you allow yourself to receive.
I'm healthier than I've ever been, only because I got healthy when I was like 40. Thank you so much.
Got it. Hi there. You probably recognize this guy. I'm Ned Rust. I'm his publisher, James Patterson here, the #1 best-selling author in the world. And did you just make that up? I did some research before I got here today.
We are doing my virtual live book signing.
Live book signing. This is crazy.
More and more authors are doing this. I think it's so cool.
Signing some of the signed copies that you guys can get at premiercollectibles.com.
You're going to be signing these books live over the next 45 minutes.
Hey, what up, disappointment? I'm watching myself. Look at that. I need to stop.
If you're OCD, how is this panic inducing to
They're
you?
not
Like
watching
all
you.
these.
They've got a bag.
Yeah.
They've got a bag.
I'm inspired by your success. What advice do you give someone who's never found his passion?
Hi, I'm Judge Janine Pirro. You probably heard of my book, Liars, Liberals, and Leakers. I may look like Greg Gutfeld, but I'm not. Actually, this is so exciting. My 8th book, The Gutfeld Monologues, is out. This is fantastic. If you haven't purchased it yet, you're dead to me. But you still have time to reanimate and become my best friend.
Biggest pet peeve?
Yeah.
Men that talk to me with spinach in their teeth.
What can I do while at work to help lower my stress and improve my health?
One musician do you most admire?
I love you all, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.
Bye.
Much love. See you.
See you soon, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
We'll see you around the world. Woo!
Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone here.
Bye, guys.
Say goodbye, Mary.
See you in the morning.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm gonna go get drunk.